All right. Good evening, everyone. Please, we need a reaction if you can see. Please, if you can see, we need a reaction from. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. You're all welcome once again to our Variety Friday. And we are very sorry we delayed. We have never delayed before. So this is just 1 minute, right? I'm looking at my clock and it seems like it's 3 minutes past 7, right? So yeah, welcome once again. So I'll be putting out a poll. Welcome, Miracle. I'm seeing you. You're welcome. All right, I'll be putting out a poll just like we always do, just to react based on our last Variety Friday. What was your Okay, so it's just to get feedback from the last Variety Friday. We do it always, so we are going to be doing the same today, and we're expecting your feedbacks as well. So I'll be creating a poll, and you will just react on your screen, right? So while I'm doing that, let me just make a little introduction to our speaker. Today we have Miracle in our midst. I don't want to murder the name, so I refuse to call the other name. I refuse to call the other name. So Miracle, you're welcome to Variety Friday. So Miracle is actually a product manager. She has a large experience working with different organizations, and she's also a mentor in, is it ADP, right?
Yeah, ADP list.
Okay. So she's a mentor. She's a product management mentor on ADP or ADP list. Yeah, ADP list. And trust me, she has a whole lot of experience in whatever this topic we are going to be treating today. You remember last week we have a wonderful speaker in person of Josephine, and trust me, we actually have a lineup of speakers that are going to be doing justice to our different topics for our Variety Friday. And today, I don't want to take much of our time today, so I will just hand over to Miracle. Miracle, you're welcome. You can take over while I do the poll for today. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Evie. Good evening, everyone. This one, Evie is doing poll. Me, I have my own icebreaker. How are we gonna do this thing? But it's fine. We'll find.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
All right, no problem. I'll just quickly share my screen. Please, if you can see my screen, can you picture to picture? I don't know what that is. So if you can see my screen, can you just I don't know. Okay, thank you. Thumbs up or anything. All right. Good evening, everyone. Before I start with any introduction, I want to start with this icebreaker. I know that life is life in the week has been very eventful for most of us. So my first question today, before I go into what I have for you guys, is describe your week with an emoji. So if you can pop that, Abby, they're able to comment, right? Because I want this to be as interactive as possible. So just look at your week and use one emoji to describe your week. Guys, I really love it if you can indulge me and send those emojis in the chat. Okay, I'm seeing laughter. Okay. Amazing. Okay, I see someone with cowboy hat. Okay. Keep it coming, guys. Just 1-2 minutes for this. If you were to describe your week with an emoji, what would that be? You guys don't even want to see my emoji at all, because this is it. This was my week, basically. All right, I see amazing. The economy can't bring us down at all. positive energy, positive vibes over here. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for responding. If you've not responded to that question, please just put it in the chat. All right, amazing. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much, Abby, for inviting me. I feel very honored, and it's a great privilege I do not take for granted. And today, guys, we are going to be talking. I was given the topic, your role in a product team. And I hope I'm able to do justice, right? And meet your expectations this evening. Before we dive into that topic, I just want to give a little intro about me if you don't know me, so you can know me basically. Okay, a little bit about me. Hi, my name is Awajioyem Miracle Ikoawaji. Ebi, hope you caught that. Awajioyem Miracle Ikoawaji. And I am currently a product manager focused on growth at Busu. So Busu is a language learning app. So think of Duolingo. Busu is in that line of products. And something that brings me great joy is making other people's life easier, basically. So most times you'll find me doing that either like in the resources I share with people in my mentorship sessions and just random conversations with friends or anyone that I come in contact with. And yeah, apart from working currently as a product manager at Busu, I was previously a PM at Spotify, then at some point a PM at Gamification Nation and Grad Prentice. Before, a little bit about my tech background. So I've been in tech for over 6 to 7 years now. So I actually started my journey in tech as a developer. Then at some point, I also did a bit of UI UX design. So I've been around, and hopefully I'm able to bring all those experiences together and knowledge to, help you get clarity on your journey. I have another, I don't know that I should call it icebreaker, but I have a question. So I want you guys to take a look at these logos. I'm sure you're familiar with most of them, if not all of them. So we have TikTok, we have Facebook, Instagram, Paystack, Alerts, LinkedIn, MoneyPoint, Pinterest. And I want you to drop your answer in the chat. What do they all have in common? If you look at these logos right now, what do they all have in common? I want to see who is going to get that. And guys, we only have like 2 minutes for that. If you didn't give me time, I don't know how long I have. So I think, do you want to stay here for like 3 hours? Is that fine? Okay, social networking. Roland said social networking. Who again? What do they all have in common? I want to hear your answer, your response. Don't overthink it, right? Just drop the first thing that comes to mind. I need like 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, services. Okay. Tamuno says colors, unique shapes. Paul says they are all products. Okay. Ike says data apps, water, community. Okay, Paul, they all provide solution, and Emmanuel money. Okay. Connectivity, simple, concise. Okay. Still drop your answers in the chat. So I love Paul's answer, right? They are all products. That's what they all have in common. They are all digital products. Well done. So basically, just for those that don't know what a product is, because I don't like to assume. So in product management, basically, a product refers to any offering that is created or developed to fulfill a specific need or solve a particular problem for a target market. Now, when we look at products in product management, we have different types, like different categories, I'll call them. So we'll probably have the virtual product and we'll have the hybrid products. So virtual product is your usual digital product. Hybrids are basically a combination of physical products and virtual products, basically. So think of your Alexa app, think of, I just called Alexa and it just lit up, sorry. So yeah, they all have products. Well done, guys. Now to the real gist of today. Behind every single product you see out there, be it Flutterwave, be it MoneyPoint, be it Zoho, be it Gmail, be it MoneyPoint, any product at all, behind every product you see out there is a strong product team. There are people, so this product, they did not fall from the sky. They did not just do a Prakata brand, they just appeared. There are people behind, the development of those products. There's a team that plays a key role in the ideation, validation, and delivery of these products. Now, I really tried my best to discipline myself not to go into too much detail, but I still want to give you this context so that we can dive deep. So what is a product team? I'm not going to share anything entirely new for this, right? I just took different Google descriptions of product team because the internet age, there are different opinions and views of topics like this. But if you look at every single thing here, one thing that is very consistent in these definitions is basically, a product team is responsible. So there's responsibility, and there's also the fact that the word product is consistent in this definition. So a product team is basically a group of individuals, right, with specific skill sets, right, responsible for the success of the product. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, or you can wait till the end of the session. Now, we know that a product team, right, is a team that's focused on the success or responsible for the success of the product. So from ideation down to delivery, validation, every aspect of the product life cycle. What exactly is the benefit of a product team, especially within an organization? Just for context, product management is a function. That's where you have product team under, is a function within an organization that is ultimately responsible for the success of a product. Now, why should we care? Basically, what is the importance? What is the benefit of having a product team in an organization? And it is important for you to care because you're part of this team, right? So you want to understand how whatever it is you're doing fits into the grand scheme of things, basically. So the first benefit is a product team is basically the balance between business and users. So basically, we exist. I'm going to be using some personal words now. We exist to serve customers or users in ways that not just meet their needs, but also meet the business needs. I know there's this conversation like we have in products where I think people always say, oh, as a product manager or a product designer or whoever in the product team, we are the advocate for the users. That's good. That is right. That is not wrong. But then again, there is a balance to it. And the product team is that balance within an organization. Yes, we reach out to users. Yes, we are advocates for users. Yes, we want to solve problems, right? But at the same time, right, we also want to ensure that we meet the business needs. So finding that, balance and having those trade-offs is part of the responsibility of a product team. The second one is they are responsible for product development, quality of the product, and the progress of the product. Now, I'm being a bit generic with all these benefits, but when we dive into the different roles and responsibility, you will know who exactly is in charge of some of these things. Some of the responsibilities, everyone is actually involved, but most of them, everyone has their responsibility, like at different points in the product development life cycle. The last one is they are also, another benefit is for continuous improvement and innovation. As a product team, yes, we ideate, we source for problems, we brainstorm solutions, and we build products. But it doesn't end there, right? Continuous improvement is part of our responsibility. So when we launch a product into the marketplace, that's why that's the difference between product and project, right? Product is very iterative, project is finite. So basically, as a product team, when we build everything, like, okay, we say we've launched this product, it doesn't end there. That's actually the genesis of everything. So we are involved, we are responsible for ensuring that, okay, this thing we've put out in the market, right, stays valuable, is valuable to the user, stays usable, is still viable, right? At the same time, is up to standard. Especially if you in the tech ecosystem, it's very common for things to change very quickly. So from technology, tools being used, to even user behavior. So the product team is responsible to responsible for, you know, continuous improvement, continuous research, continuous discovery, and innovation. Sorry, something just popped up on my screen for no reason. Now, characteristics of a product team. If you're still with me, can you say yes? Are you getting it, guys? Because I can't see anybody's face, so I feel like I'm just talking to the world. If you understand what I've said so far, yes, yes. Okay. Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. Okay. So characteristics of a product team. Now we know what a product team is, right? We know the benefit of a product team. What are their characteristics? So I know this is not like a common conversation to have, but while just preparing for this session, I felt the need to just bring this to us basically. So two characteristics when you think about a product team, two characteristics that are very common. The first one is that they are cross-functional. So a product team is a cross-functional team. What does this mean basically? It means that you have different functions within the team. So when you think about design, you think about engineering, you think about research, you think about data science, you think about I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anyone. I talked about engineering as well, right? So it's cross-functional. So it's not a one-man team, right? It's a combination of different skill sets, it's a combination of different expertise, a combination of different experiences into one to deliver a product. The second characteristics of a product team is they are focused on and measured by outcomes. They are focused, and I want that to sink in. So outcomes over output. What do I mean by this? So the outcome here, when I talk about outcome, because someone will be like, okay, outcome, output, what's the difference exactly? Basically, in a practical environment, outcome in this context could mean, you know, just the feature, right? Just delivering things. Okay, we have user stories, we have the feature, we've launched the feature, and that's just it. That's not a product team. That is a feature team. Remember when I talked about the fact that product teams, they are responsible for continuous improvement and discovery. And in order to do that, there are different things involved. So yeah, so outcome over output, right? The outcome is the product. The outcome is the result, while the output is the feature. So as a product team, you're not just focused on, okay, we've launched this thing. Okay, what's the impact in the market? How does this affect us? What can we iterate on? What's the feedback from the user, right? Does this make sense? And also, when we talk about outcomes over output, it means that the team is empowered, right? They are basically empowered to figure out the best way possible to solve the problems that they have been asked to solve. So with a feature team, it's more of delivery based, right? It's more, okay, you guys, this I've created this ticket. I don't know how many of us are familiar with that word, but tickets in Jira, I want you guys to deliver it. We are launching on I don't know, on the 27th of July 2024, and they just anything that is being handed over to them, or anything that you give them, they'll just develop it and just launch it. That's not a product team. In a product team, they are empowered to figure out yes, they've identified a problem, but they are not just handed down solutions, right? They work with each other with their different expertise skill set to come up with the best possible solutions, right, for their company or for the product. Now, A product team is responsible for the product development life cycle. So basically, these are stages, right, we take in when developing a product. So from ideation, and you might be wondering why I just put screenshots here. I feel like I'm tired of the different diagrams on the internet, and I know it can be very confusing. But I wanted to show you that regardless of what you're seeing here when you search for product development lifecycle, I'm going to show you like a summarized or categorized version that will help you understand this better. So in product development, right, I talked about how they are a product development lifecycle is basically like the stages we follow when developing a product. So you have ideation, you have validation. Ideation simply means, okay, we've identified a problem, right? Or we've not identified a problem, we have a solution, but we are yet to understand the problem that we are solving. So in this slide, we step out, to do our research, meet users, try to understand their problem, put our foot in their shoes to understand where they are coming from. So that's more of ideation. You have validation to ensure that, okay, this problem you've identified is actually a problem, and it's a problem you can solve, or it's a problem you want to solve as a team, or you have the capacity to solve. Does that make sense? So that's validation. Then you now have the design, you have development, you have launch and things like that. But what I've done basically is categorize all these things. And the reason why I am bringing this slide to your screen, basically, because as we begin to go deep into the different roles and responsibility within the product team, I want you to understand, how it's at what point, right, do we have certain roles and responsibilities. Now throughout the life cycle, everybody is involved, but on different levels. So probably on product discovery, you most likely have the product manager and product designer working together, while the engineers are doing more of like research. We usually call it spikes behind the scenes to understand, okay, when they eventually bring this problem or they put together this solution, do we have the engineering capability or capacity to accommodate this? Is it feasible, basically? So everyone is still working, but the levels are different, right? So we have product discovery. Remember, ideation and validation, all of this can actually fall under product discovery. We have product planning. This one is basically focused on, okay, we've identified the problem, we've brainstormed, we've identified a couple of solutions. Now it's time to plan how we want to execute them. So under product planning, you see things like, and I'm sorry, I'm bringing some of my PM, is not PM jargons and all, but you'll get the picture with time. You've identified the problem and solution. Now with planning, we are breaking it down into what we call tactics. So in the product discovery stage, it's very high level, it's very vague, right? But coming into the planning stage, we're able to say, okay, if this is a solution we want to build, how do we want to achieve it, basically? So what are the requirements? I don't know how many of us are familiar with product requirements or requirement gathering in general. What are the requirements? What's the expected user behavior at every point? This is where also you see the designer, right, working on user interfaces to enable, the engineers understand the flows and the structures. Then you have product development, where you still have the PM and the product designer involved, but in this stage, or here, in the product development stage, it's mostly the engineers doing the work, but the PM is there, right, for probably QA, or to ensure that, okay, everybody is still working towards the goal we set out to, achieve. Then the designer is there for, okay, the design I worked on, is it being properly implemented? And if it's not being properly implemented, why? Do I need to make tweaks and things like that? Then we have product launch, which I will not go into right now. Common activities in a product team, there are a lot of them, and this is not an exhaustive list. This is just to just have a conversation. So common activities in the product team: user research, product roadmap, prioritization. You have prototyping and testing. You have iteration and validation. You have ideation and problem definition, product development, and lots more. and not small. Okay, so before I go into this part of the slide, now we are really entering, we are really getting to why we're here. I want someone or anybody to let me know what is a product quickly in the chat. I want to know those who are actually listening. And if I was too fast, pardon me. But what is a product? What is a product? A quick break. What is a product? If you've understood what I've said so far, you don't have to say it the way I said it, basically. But what is a product? I'll give us 2 minutes. What is a product? And if you got that you got that question, just give me a thumbs up wherever you are. If you got that question. Okay. Walter says a product is meant to meet a customer need. Okay, can we have more? Okay, Emmanuel says something that delivers value to all the stakeholders. Okay, one more or two more. Come on, guys, you can do this. I just want to make sure we're all listening and we're paying attention. One more. Okay? Beautiful. Sorry, I need to start scrolling down. Okay, that which provides a service or meets a particular need. Okay, beautiful. Paul says a unique offering that solves a particular problem in the society. Okay. Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much, guys. You are following. And one more question. Behind every great product is a what? Behind every great product is what? Behind every great product. Okay, Tamuno says a product team. Let's get your answers, guys. Behind every product team, every product rather is a what? We're getting into it. A great product team, beautiful. Adeleke says project management team. Are you here? Uma, I see your question. I'll get to it at the end of the session. Just make sure you send the same question again. Okay. Tangible interview solution. So please, behind every great product is a great product team, or is a product team, basically. Beautiful. So let's continue. So the next section that we're about to enter now is focused on why we came here. I just wanted to make sure we have clarity and some context about a product team. So let's say, you're a product designer. So let's say I'm a product designer, I'm a data scientist, I'm a product manager, I'm a developer, I'm a cybersecurity professional. What is my role in the product team? And sorry if I did not mention, I just realized that I didn't put that slide there. So basically in a product team, there is a common structure. The product team is commonly in a product team, you commonly have have an engineer or engineer. So you have the product manager, most times one product manager. So you have the product manager, you have a product designer, most times one. You have the engineers, sometimes 5 to 6 to 7 engineers in a team or a squad. That one I'm very used to. A squad, so a PM, a product designer, a couple of engineers, mixed back end, front end. These days you also have like iOS. So like in my team, in my current company, I have a back end engineer, I have an iOS developer, I have an Android developer as well. I also have a web developer. Also, you have the insight team. Now, in insight, this is not a template, especially for the insight part. At the very least, in, let's say like a startup, the ones you see there most of the time will be a PM, if they have a PM, or the CEO is a PM, a designer, and you have engineers. in more established organizations, you see a PM, a product designer, a group of engineers, and the insight team. So in insight, you have data scientists. Like in Spotify, when I was working there, we call them the insight team. And in insight team, you have data scientists and user researchers. But in my current company is different. We don't have any team called insight. Okay, but not within the product team. Like they just come in to help when they're needed, basically. So we have the data scientists, we have cybersecurity professionals. So I just wanted to put that there. I just realized I skipped it. Now, your role in a product team. Before we proceed, I want to also do like a quick survey. So if you fall into any of these categories, can you put that in the chat? So if whether aspiring or current, right? Put I am a product designer, or put I am a product manager, or put I am a developer, or put I am a, I just want to do a quick survey. Aspiring or current, just put it in the chat. I'm a product designer, or I'm a data scientist. I was told that this is a mixed audience, so I expect to see different answers. Quickly, I'm a product designer, I'm a developer. Let's see those answers. Okay. All right. I see product designer, product manager, I'm a data scientist, I'm a front-end developer. I see product manager, data scientist. Okay. Amazing. Okay. Aspiring cybersecurity professional, expert. No, security. I'm a cybersecurity expert, data analyst. Beautiful. Okay. So I'm in the right place and I am addressing the right topic. Thank you, guys. So let's dive in quickly. So your role in a product team. So now we know what a product team is. We know the benefit of having a product team in an organization, especially a product-led organization. We know the benefits of I just talked about benefit of having a product team in an organization. We know the characteristics of a product team. We also know the different expertise or functionalities within a product team. Now let's dive into these roles individually and what they do within the product team. The first one I have on my list is the product manager. So I remember when I said in a product team, you have a product manager, most times just one. You don't need two PMs in a team, please. From experience, that is catastrophe. It's not gonna work. So responsibilities of a product manager, there are lots, right? And it also depends on the company, the products, right? The problem space, the product itself, and also the resources available within the company. Okay, I just want to put that out there. Yes, there are common or popular responsibilities or responsibilities that are expected, of a product manager. Things are expected, but also like it depends on there are several factors involved. The first one here, so overall, the product manager is the definition I like to give, minus one I have on my slide here. A product manager is ultimately accountable and responsible for the success of the product. It does not mean that the product manager is the only one working on the product, but usually you will find a product manager having a holistic view of the product and having more context than any other person within the product team. And it's not a competition, right? That is just the role of the product manager. The product manager, zooms in and zooms out, basically. So the product manager thinks of the now and the future. Addressing the points I have on my slide. So the product manager is also responsible for guiding the vision and roadmap. So vision and strategy, basically defining the long-term vision and strategy of the products. Depending on where you have the product manager, so be it a startup or be it a corporate environment, how they approach this or how they, might be differs basically. So defining the long-term strategy could mean, okay, what problem are we solving right now with our products? Doing market analysis, understanding the landscape. How do we see this problem evolving in the coming years, especially with rising technologies and rapid change in user behavior? So the product manager is responsible for asking these questions, trying to bring it together to create a winning strategy that helps the product stand out in the marketplace. Also, the product manager is responsible for what we call roadmap planning. So it's one thing to have this big dream, right? It's one thing to have this vision, have this strategy articulated somewhere in a very nice product strategy document or a very nice document. But it's another thing to break it down into actionable steps. So yes, we know that in 3 years, we envision a world where everyone can become a designer. Like, I'm not saying it's like the correct vision, but for example, Canva, right? We know that we want a world where you don't have to be a creative to design, or you don't have to know how to design to create your first design, right? But when they started, Canva was not like this when they started. That's not how they started. So as a product manager, you're responsible for looking at the long-term vision. What world do we want to create? But at the same time, you're also responsible for the now, right? That balance, okay, what can we achieve now? And that is where the roadmap comes into play. Yes, we want to build this MVP, and to have this, basically, we need let's say a sign up page, we need a dashboard, we need a payment system, we need this and that. You can't do all of that in one day, right? You need a plan. So that's where the product roadmap comes in. Then there is stakeholder management. The stakeholder management, I think this term is very common in the product space, right? I am very good with stakeholder management. You see it on people's CVs and things like that. And it's good it's on your CV because it's important. So stakeholder management, basically communicating with stakeholders to gather requirements and feedback. Now, the word stakeholder is just like a very broad term we use. Your stakeholders as a product manager would differ depending on maybe one, the company structure, and two, your specialty, basically. So most times, yes, we have like common stakeholders, right, across the different product management specialties, like marketing, finance. You also have even marketing. Depending on your specialty, you're not exactly really involved with them very closely, except when it's time for product launch, right? But if you're a growth product manager, it's different. Like, especially if you're a growth product manager that is focused on what we call acquisition. So acquisition, basically getting more users into the platform. One of your major stakeholders will most likely be marketing, those in charge of SEO, those in charge of performance marketing, that's paid marketing, those in charge of organic, because you want to find out, okay, where are our users, what are they saying about us, and how do we use our product, right, to bring these people into the product. So your stakeholders might change, but across all specialties, you have things like finance team, especially if it's in a very established organization. You have things like people like legal as well. In a startup, you will not have too many stakeholders. Your stakeholder in a startup just most like, and by stakeholder, external stakeholders outside of your core product team would be the CEO and maybe marketing, basically. Are you with me, guys? Thumbs up if you're with me. The next one is where am I now? Performance metrics. So as a product manager, you're also expected, or you're in charge of monitoring key performance. So it's not enough to launch a product. It's not enough to build a product. You also want to make sure that whatever it is you're building and you're putting out there is driving, is meeting the expectation. So let's say, okay, we launched a feature to drive what we call conversion, right? So we have we have enough users on our product, but not everyone is actually paying for the product. And we say, okay, let's launch this feature. Hopefully, the users will understand the value of our premium offering better. And you launch that feature and you just leave it there. That's not right. As a product manager, you're tasked with monitoring. Okay, this feature we just launched, right? What's the impact on our metrics, on business metrics, right? Is very important. And the last one is cross-functional leadership. Basically coordinating between design, engineering, marketing, sales team. So it's still tied to stakeholder management. Now, product design, another one of my favorite functions as well. In general, a product designer in a product team is responsible for shaping the user experience and interface. So as a product designer, you're not just focused on UX or just focused on UI, right? You're focused on the entire experience, just the way the product manager is focused or has a whole, like is focused on the not focused, like ultimately responsible or has a holistic view of the entire product development life cycle. As a product designer, you are responsible for the end-to-end, right, experience of the user, right? So from UX to UI, from the aesthetics to the usability of the product. You don't want to, because, oh, you, in the name of being creative and all, right, you just gonna design something that your user cannot use. Is in the name, user. It's not usable. It's not nice, right? So just a bit of their responsibilities and things like that. The first one is user research. Remember when we talked about product discovery, and I told you how I shared with you how in that stage you most likely have the PM and the product designer working closely together for ideation. So what problem are we solving? So let's say, for example, the PM is one of two ways. So let's say the PM has identified a problem based on metrics or based on data or just based on random conversations or research, right? The PM will work closely with the product designer to do what we call user research. So reaching out to the users to ensure that this is actually a pain point, because most times we tend to assume as individuals. I tell people there's one thing I always say. Ideas most times they come in solution state, not in the problem state. And if your ideas are not connected, right, to a problem, sorry, if your solution is not connected to a problem, that in itself is a problem, because it's not going to be sustainable. So you're just running, oh, my solution is great, and nobody actually wants it, nobody needs it, right? So the product designer works closely with the product manager to, identify these problems, go deep into research to really break it down, right? Okay, you're having this problem, why? Okay, because of this is this, why, right? To really understand the problem. That's user research. Another one is, I already talked about user interface. But if I talk about UI, UX, right? So based on the research, right, you feed that research into your UX design. So some of the artifacts we have in UX design, things like, user persona, things like sitemap. Okay, now we've done our research. We've identified our target audience that we want to build for, right? Who exactly is our target audience? Who exactly are we targeting, right? What are their pain points? What are their needs? What are their goals? What are their motivations? So these are the things that the product designer will actually, work on. Then we have user interface, basically aesthetics, right? Ensuring that, so when I say aesthetics, I don't want to be very generic. Yes, aesthetics, the colors, the typography, things like that. But most importantly, and I hopefully the product designers in our midst, you agree with this, but also what we call design system. Especially when you're working in a very established organization, they have their design system. So you want to make sure that the branding is consistent across all screens all the screens you're designing. So you don't want to have color red here. Probably the call to action button here is green, then another place is yellow. No, right? You want to make sure there is consistency across all surfaces. Then there is collaboration. There's collaboration. So, like I said, closely working with the product manager. So there's the discovery part where the designers would work closely with the product manager to understand the problem, to brainstorm solutions with the team. Then there's the part where the designers also work closely with the developers to ensure that the right design is being implemented. And if there's like a problem, iterate on feedback and create something different. So basically just collaborating with PMs and developers to align on the vision and, most importantly, technical feasibility. Please, my dear designers, I am saying this on behalf of the developers because I've been on two sides. So in your bid to be creative, ensure that feasibility is something that is at the top of your list. What do I mean by feasibility? Basically, this thing you're designing, and not shade anybody, but this thing you're designing, you can be creative, right? But believe me, when you start working in a team, things are different, right? There are a lot of factors. So ensure that whatever it is you're implementing, right, can actually be developed by the developers. And sometimes them saying no, it's not them being lazy. Sometimes even as a company, we don't have the capacity or we don't have the technologies, to develop that, right? So just wanted to put that out there. Designers, if you understood that, can I see a thumbs up in the chat? Your role within the product team, or just say yes. People that say that they're product designers, where are you? Okay, beautiful. Don't worry, we're almost done. Then we have the developers. I wanted to talk about them just one screen, but Abby said I should separate it. So we'll talk about the front-end developer and the back-end developer. Let's start with front-end. So in the product team, the front-end developer is responsible, and this is not an exhaustive list, responsible for creating user interfacing components. So basically, you're responsible for the front end, basically, right? You're responsible for just the user facing side, the part the user is going to interact with, the dynamic side of things. And so a couple of things to look out for in terms of responsibilities within the product team. As a developer or as a front-end developer, the first one is user interface implementation, like I just said. So the part that the user would interact with. So basically just ensuring that the designs that the designers have, put into place or have created are actually implemented and made dynamic via code, right? Just writing code. I know it's not as easy as it sounds, I know. So using whatever technology, right? It could be HTML, it could be CSS, it could be JavaScript, React, whatever technology you're using, but ultimately user interface implementation is one of your is very important, right? And is required of you in the product team. The next one is responsive design. So let's use a web product for an example. Responsive design basically means you ensure that users are able to view, the website. So I'm using website as an example. Clearly, I'm trying to look for a word, on all screens. So I don't want a situation where, okay, I have this screen now, like Zoho now, I'm talking to you guys, and this is what it looks like on my laptop. On mobile, yes, the elements or the design or the aesthetics should be consistent, but the structure should change, right? So responsive design is very important. Then there's another one, performance optimization. This one is very important, especially when you are scaling your product or you're getting more users, right, to use your product, or more users are actually using your product. Performance optimization is important on the front end, optimizing for speed and efficiency. You don't want a situation whereby your users are not able to access your product, or even when they try to access your product, it's very slow. The response or communication between the front end and the back end is very slow, right? So it's very important that you put this as priority on your list. Then the next one is user interaction, right? So this is the part where you make the designs dynamic. So it's one thing to implement the user interface, right, by just, probably using CSS and all to implement the design, but it's another thing to make it interactive, right? So as a front end developer, it's important for you, right, to implement interactive features. So after implementing the interface, you need to make it interactive where, I won't say where necessary, but yeah, depending on the requirements, because you'll most likely be working with a product requirement doc or something that tells you, okay, this is the expected user behavior for this feature. And the last one is collaboration. So the front-end developer is expected to collaborate, basically working with the designer and the back-end developer to ensure a cohesive product, right? So you're working with the designer to implement the user interface and make it dynamic, right? And at the same time, you're working with the back-end developers to ensure that the right information is being called from the back-end and surfaced properly. Does that make sense, my front-end developers? Okay, we have 2-3 more slides and I think we'll wrap up soon. Then we have the backend developer. The backend developer is responsible for building and maintaining the server-side logic. So this is basically the side that the user will not see. So it powers the front end. It basically powers the front end. Sorry, I just saw the chat. Who is primarily responding, Colin? Okay, I'll respond to, okay, Ebby already responded, but I have an opinion there, so I'm coming. So the backend developer responsible for building and maintaining the server-side logic. The first responsibility, like I just said, server-side development. So writing server-side code to handle business logic, especially, to fit into user behavior on the front end, and data processing. Remember, if our product is interactive and dynamic, it means that we're going to be taking, or requesting for information from the user, and we need to store that somewhere, right? It's not going to just float in the air. We need to store that somewhere, and not just store it, but process it to be able to power other features. So I'll give an example. Let's say in an onboarding screen, right? We've built a product. We love the product. Our users love the product. But then again, we want to take a step further to personalize the user's journey. So let's say, for example, I want to learn a language. I'm just going to use that because that's where I'm currently working. Learn a language, and you ask me, okay, why do you want to learn a language? And I tell you, for work. When I choose out of the options, okay, school, work, family, vacation, things like that, and I tell you work, behind the scene, right, there's something, or there is a logic collecting that response. But it's one thing to store it, another thing to process it for another feature. So we want a situation whereby if you tell us that you are learning a language for work, we want to suggest, specific courses within that language that you're learning. So let's say I want to learn Spanish, I want to learn Igbo or Hausa, right? Any course you're giving me should be within the context of, work, right? So data processing is very important. Then there is also there is API development, which is very important. So creating APIs is basically for front end, so kind of connecting the back end to the front end. So ensure both ends interact effectively. Then we have scalability and performance, so ensuring that the back end can handle increasing loads. So it's one thing to develop a product, is another thing to ensure that that product is scalable. Especially with startup, you can have an MVP, very simple version of your product, but as your user base increases, it's also important to ensure that your product can handle, right, that volume. So scalability on the user side to ensure that we're able to enlarge our capacity to take more users. Also, scalability on the development side. And this is me, I'm saying that from like my experience with corporate and bigger organizations and well-established organizations. So as you begin to grow as a company, you also grow in team sizes, right? So it's also important that, okay, most of the codes that are written, are also scalable. So there are things that are, reusable and things that can be used across, because as you're growing, as the company is growing, the product team is growing. So before we had just one product team in a startup focused on every aspect of the product, right? I mean, I'm not talking about the product development lifecycle now. I'm just talking about the actual product. So take Spotify for example. When they started, they just had one team, right? One product team, and they developed it. But Spotify today, right? They've evolved. And now today we have different teams, responsible for different parts of the product. You see that search bar in the Spotify product, the digital product. There's just one team handling that small space you're seeing, right? So you want to make sure whatever it is you're writing on your end, both front end, both back end, is scalable. And another thing is security, implementing security measures to protect the data being stored and prevent unauthorized access. And last, we have data scientists and cybersecurity professional. Then for the data scientists, hope I've not lost anybody. For the data scientist, I think so far, being a growth products manager, I really enjoy working with my data scientists because they just make life very easy. So the data scientist or analyst is focused on analyzing data to inform product decisions. What does this mean, right? There are different sides to this. And so the first one is the first one is data collection, right? So with data collection, basically, and I want you to paint a picture, basically gathering data from various sources. Now, why this part is very interesting is that at the early stage, right, if you have a data scientist, you're just focused on getting data from different sources or various sources in this context will be probably the different features, right? So the different features in app, the login, the sign up, the payments and things like that, just getting here and there. But in a bigger organization, right, or even in that situation or in that scenario, you're not only focused on getting data or gathering data from just sources within the product, right? You get to a point with your team where you start integrating, third-party products or platforms, and you also need to bring those gather data from those sources as well, be it a CRM, like a marketing platform that they are using to send emails and push notifications to the user, or something else, or maybe let's say for example Amplitude, right, where you want to store events and triggered by users within your product. So it's very important to, like, data scientists, they're focused on data collection. The next one is analysis. So when you collect data, you don't just store it, you analyze, right? So they use statistical methods and possibly machine learning, basically, to analyze data. And my favorite part, uncover insights. So the work of a data analyst is very, very interesting because you're needed at different points in the product development lifecycle. At product launch, you're focused on analyzing, data to understand the impact of, the feature or impact of the product, either on specific metrics within the company or on, on the users, basically. At the ideation stage, you're focused on looking at data, putting things together to understand, or uncover new problems. I'll give you a practical example. When I was working in Spotify, Abby is already here to chase me. Don't worry, I'm almost done. When I was working in Spotify, we're looking for problems within our team, like to solve and all. And our data scientists, looked at our existing data and discovered something very interesting. It discovered that during the Ramadan season, in a particular or specific region, that's Indonesia, Egypt, there was kind of like a drop, a very huge drop. So people would like uninstall the app. People would just close the app. They won't open the app for like, I mean, rightly so, 30 days, seeing that is a religious activity. And based on that, right, I mean, we took that data, did some extra research, and we set out to solve that, problem. So you see, the role of a data scientist within a product team is not just fixed, right? Different points, depending on the company structure as well, different expectation. And yeah, then there's data-driven decision, which I just give an example of. And also predictive analysis is very important as well. So building models to predict user behavior and identify trends. As a growth product manager, I actually want focused on activation, like helping our users onboard a product and also keep them on the product. It's very important you work closely with the data scientists. So currently, I think in one of like our initiatives, I currently want to understand, okay, at what point, right, do users actually express excitement or delight within our products? Delight enough for them to share with people. So okay, we want to encourage users to share our products with other people, right? But we also want to make sure, okay, I mean, sharing is not every part of the product. So working with the data scientists to understand the user behavior. Okay, we've noticed that users on screen 4 most likely, what they do is that they screenshot, or because they've achieved something, basically they are more excited and more likely to share the product. And there's A/B testing, basically checking feature A, feature B, which one would resonate with our users the most. Abby, do you want me to go through this one? This is the last slide. Oh, last second to the last slide. Okay, amazing. And the last one is cybersecurity professionals. I've not exactly worked very closely with cybersecurity professionals because they are not very, they are growing in popularity now, but like they are not very common in like the product team space. And it's also dependent on the industry. So depending on the industry, if it's a financial, maybe the financial industry, probably there'll be more there. But so far, like in other industry, they're not very common. But then again, I still did some digging, and I have cybersecurity professional. I think I have one of my friends too, and I'll just run through this quickly. It's almost the same thing, like I think, is it the data scientist, but let's just run through it basically. So as a cybersecurity professional, you're focused on, I mean, as the word implies, cybersecurity. So they will not come and thief our data on the internet. So we have risk assessment, which is very important. So as a cybersecurity professional, you're tasked with identifying potential risk, security risk, right, and vulnerabilities within the product. I think in place of cybersecurity professionals, sometimes that's where you have QA, just to ensure that there are no breaches. Sometimes I'm not saying they're replacing you guys, please don't come for me, but I'm just trying to show you the different things that are going on. Then you have compliance, so ensuring that the product complies with relevant regulation. I feel like the people that will experience this more is people in the fintech industry, because you also want to make sure, not just fintech, but even across all industries. So the data you're collecting, right, there are standards, there are regulations that you must adhere to, right? So the cybersecurity professional is responsible for ensuring that the product we are building is, compliant. Then there's also things like continuous monitoring, ensuring security audits, and, ensuring that there are no threats to the product. And my final slide, everything I've said, right, I want to emphasize the importance of collaboration and communication in a product team. It's very important. I feel like we have this unhealthy comparison within the tech ecosystem where you say, okay, my job is more important than your job is more important than... not really. We all complement each other. There's something my current manager says, and she always says that the sum of the whole is better than the sum of the individual parts, right? So as a product designer, as a product manager, as a cybersecurity professional, as a developer, hope I didn't miss anybody, as an engineer, right? We are all working towards a common goal. And it's important that you understand this. So it's very important we work together as a team to ensure the overall success of our product. Thank you for listening. I need to drink water, but thank you so much, guys, for listening. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, ProductSis, or I have my website there. Any questions? I have finished, sir.
Thank you so much, Miracle. This was awesome. To be honest, it was really awesome. I trust our student has actually benefited so much from your lot of experience. And yeah, if you have a question, you can start dropping your questions while we just talk. When you were mentioning about the different roles and all of that, their responsibilities and all, it's actually important for us to know that your roles are very vital and important in the product team. Yeah, like like today during our stand-up meeting, right, with the team, with the CareerEX team. So we actually, how we got your score, right, is the data guys that actually do all of those things. When after the lecturers record your grades and all of that, the data guys just fine-tune the data and it comes out so well. They create dashboards and all of that. So today when we're just talking, the data they analyzed, if you're in cohort 1, just indicates your results are actually, your grades are out, right? So when we are going through the data, how it was analyzed and all, it just came out so well, fine and everything. So they actually have a way of making things, like she said, they actually have a way of making things easy for us, right? So yeah, for the cybersecurity guys, also you have a lot of work to actually do for a product. Most times, one of the things that we notice when it comes to the security part of products, it's not much emphasized on products. So we always, most team does not have a cybersecurity personnel in in building the products. We always have them mostly on the fintech app, right, or fintech products. But the cybersecurity guys are actually important in all roles, like in building products. Let's say, for example, I remember those days when we were writing PHP codes, right? It's still important, it's still valid, right? So when we are writing PHP code, I did ethical hacking as well. So it's easy for me after you finish writing the codes, right? So we can test our code, we can check the security of the code. So that then we just use not so much hacking, right? We just do SQL injection and we can get all the database out, right? So there are so many things that, because I'm an ethical hacker, so we can easily do all of this, and we can test our products that we are building. So so most times we don't know that cybersecurity personnel, they're actually vital in building product. Let's say, for example, you build an API, authentication API. You can ask a cybersecurity person to actually do a pen testing on that API, right? To check, to see if they can actually assess that authentication and all of that. So it's important. You can test all your products. You can test all your endpoints once they are live. So, excuse me. So it's actually important that we actually carry cybersecurity along while we are building products. Like for the team, okay, we have not sent out that email. For cohort 1, we have already chosen 200 students that are going to the next phase of the program, which is called the incubation program, right? So after the training, we are having 200 students that we are taking to the next level. Is an incubation program, and cybersecurity are also part. So why we are bringing all of this topic is mostly for our cohort 1 student. But if you check now, cohort 1 students are not much here, so they will miss out on some of these vital, even though they have actually taught have to actually teach them on all of these things, but we needed them to actually get a first-hand experience again on how to work with other team members, right? So we are taking you to a different program where we have the cybersecurity personnel, the product managers, the front end, back end, product designer, data science. We are all going to be building a product, right? So it's very important that you know these things before we move on, because from next week we'll start onboarding those students from cohort 1, right? So we want you as cohort 2 students to also learn these things, so when you get to that point, it will not be an issue. You already have a first-hand experience on how to work with a team. And trust me, Miracle have just done justice to this, and we are believing that you can connect with her. You can keep your ProductSis is actually easy for them to remember, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
So
let me share that again.
it's actually easy for them to remember. ProductSis anywhere you can find her on our different socials, right? So all right. So if there's a question, you can start putting out your questions, and she'll be taking them one after the other.
Okay.
Someone said, how did you solve the problem about Ramadan?
Okay, I'll just breeze through that. So what we did basically, because the team I was in, our focus was on emerging markets and just making Spotify culturally relevant to our users. So to solve that, we created, as part of our Cultural Moments initiative, we created a hub, what we call a hub in app. So it's kind of like another screen, but focused on a particular culture, particular celebration. So in app, we created a Ramadan hub. I think I'll look for the link and share. Like we actually published it and or created a Ramadan hub that had features or like a calendar in app. So for the 30 days of Ramadan, there was this nice countdown calendar inside. Then we also had like podcasts. So we took features within the Spotify app that really that was relevant to Ramadan, and we put it in there, and we launched it in specific markets. It wasn't available for the entire world anyway. I don't know if that answered the question, but we basically created a hub and curated content tailored to that.
Okay, so the other question is, what of digital marketers, technical writers, and others are they not part of the product team?
The product team, no. They are more like our stakeholders. So remember, the product team, the team is responsible for the entire product development lifecycle, right? Obviously, when it comes to like the launch phase, we would involve marketing and all. Marketing is a separate business function within an organization. So that does not mean they don't have input in the product, but they are not part of the product team. And another sorry, I just want to add another role that could be a part of product team in a marketing context is product marketing manager. So they are kind of the bridge between product and marketing.
Launch. Yep.
And yeah, technical writers, no. Yeah.
Okay. It's I'll just like, can I add to that?
Sure.
Okay, so for now we have what we call the web content creators. Now, in a product, if while building a product, right, you have either you have the product designer doing that. Some product designers, they are very good with content creation and all of that. If they are part of the team, they know the vision of the product and all of that. They are part of the brainstorming sections. They can easily come up with the products. Those are like product user what's it called, content creators, right? So but then if we have the web content creators, they can be there. What they do is to create content for the products. You know how you see your website, your products, and all of that. They can easily create those contents on the product while the product designer is building the product as well, right? So they collaborate mostly with the product designer while they are building the product initial stage. Then also, now it depends, the technical writers now, it depends the kind of product we are building here that will involve a technical writer, because the role of a technical writer in the product development is actually to mostly the documentation process of the product. Like, let's say for example, we are building an API that let's say we are building an API for a B2B company, right? So our API, other companies need to actually consume our API. So there we need a technical writer to actually write on how these APIs can be consumed and all of that. So when we publish it, when companies sees it, they can actually go through, read the documentation, and actually consume our API. Those are the roles of the technical writer in building a product. So they are mainly those people. Like now, for example, when you want to install your Node.js, right? Those people that wrote those long documentation that you'll be reading, consuming, and doing all of those things, they are all the technical writers. Their job mainly is to document, right? So it just depends the kind of product you are building. For some products, you might not need a technical writer. You might not need a digital marketer. Digital marketer per se, they are out after the product is being built. They are the ones actually for product launch, which our speaker mentioned, the product marketing manager. So their own is for product launch. When you need to launch the product, they are the ones between the market and the product. So they need to know the product so well and how to market the product for the users. Yeah, so I think that's it. Then okay.
I just wanted to add something. So apart from depending on the product, because I think there's this was a back and forth between product and software dev. I'm not going to go into that. I just also wanted to point out, because most of the things I've said today, right, they are expected, but it's not what you see most of the time within organization. So another factor to consider is the company structure, right, the way they structure things within the company. So I might come and say, oh, ideally, or maybe, a product team is this, but you might get into a company, right, and within their structure, right, a technical writer, even a marketer, right, is in the squad. I mean, in my current team right now, the CRM team, the client relationship management team, we have one person in our squad, right? So I would not say, okay, because they say you're not meant to be in a product team, or you're not in a product team, I will not let you, like, won't work together. So at the end of the day is what's needed for that product ultimately, right? Who do we need, right, to bring together to make the product successful? But yeah, I just want to put the whole company structure can change some things. So yeah.
Okay. So what is the role of quality assurance?
Sorry, I was muted. Quality assurance, it's already in the name, within the product team. So to ensure that the product we are developing, right, meets requirements, and it's free from any error or any issue. So for example, the designer can, create a design, the developer would implement it, but there's a high chance that something will be missing somewhere. So the quality assurance person is there to ensure, like, kind of like a double check, like to ensure that the product that we are building or we want to put out there is actually fit for launch or anything. Then so ensuring quality, ensuring the product is free of defects, right? I think that those are the two major, and running tests as well. So to ensure quality and to ensure that it's free of defect, you need to run tests. So you usually have different test cases as a QA that you want to work with to check every part of the product, turn it upside down, left, right. So your duty is to identify errors, basically. And this is from my experience as well with a QA. So feel free to, learn more about it.
Okay.
I hope that answered the question.
I'm trying to pick out the questions that. Okay, someone was saying, I'm not happy she was not really allowed. Nobody stopped anybody. Yeah, I was not happy that she was not really allowed to put more light on cybersecurity
Don't
profession.
vex.
Do
Probably
you want
another.
to talk about cybersecurity? Cybersecurity, I think she did mention, but I think I throw more light on that. Mostly your role is actually to act to ensure that the product is secured, in the sense that it's if for bigger organization, when a product is being built, the cybersecurity, they will use all tools to try to hack.
Abby, I can't hear you. Okay.
Can
Sorry,
you hear me?
I couldn't hear you for like 3-4 seconds.
But can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was like, if we want to talk about cybersecurity, to be like a long lecture, because first, the cybersecurity personnel, they are the ones, they are like a defender. That's what we call ourselves, ethical hackers, right? So we are ethical in the sense that we are trying to defend attacks that will come into a particular system to breach. Some attacks are not mainly for financial purposes. It's just to data theft, right? So most times when you say ethical hackers, sometimes they are not coming to steal from the company. They just want to, their main thing is, when I mean steal, monetary aspect. They are just data theft. It can be data theft. It can be anything. So what we ensure that the cybersecurity guys are there, they are to defend. They are to check all the loopholes of wherever a hacker can come through or penetrate. That's why pen testing is very important for every product that goes out there. You have to do pen testing. So pen testing is actually penetration testing. You have to check whether someone can actually penetrate the authentication system. Someone can actually penetrate to the database. So different thing that you have to test for before the product goes live. So you actually have a lot to do, but the beginning of the product, you only be a part of the team, all right, during that sprint and all of that, so you know exactly what the product entails, every little detail. So you don't just come at the end of the product and start testing. You want to know everything that goes on that product before it's being built. It will actually help you to actually do your due diligence very well when you are actually doing your penetration test, so you know the kind of information you are actually looking at for while you are doing penetration testing and all. So it's actually important that a cybersecurity personnel is a part of the team. But for smaller teams, of course, for smaller teams, the backend developer can actually do his unit testing, right? We have unit testing, we have the black box testing, we have different testing that the backend developer can do. That's like a lean team that, financial constraint and all, you cannot employ a cybersecurity personnel. You can actually, the backend developer can do most of these things for the team. So yeah, I think just to actually pacify that cybersecurity students that say we didn't carry them along. All right. What else? How long is the incubation period, and what are the preparation needed to be successful at the program? Yeah, sorry, let's answer the technical questions very quickly before I take that. That will be like a wrap-up summary of what we have. I want our speaker to actually, if she doesn't have the time, so that she can drop off, right? So, yeah, so please, what's the role of a software quality assurance analyst in a product team and the product itself? I think she has mentioned that with the quality. Yeah.
I think it's the word software, because I think terminologies these days are kind of flying around. So what you know as software quality assurance is still the QA. Like, it's not, I don't know, don't bind yourself to like titles. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it's still the QA analyst. There's one question here I really want to address. So I think by Ugo, say what are the 4 must-have roles in a product team before a product can be launched? I'm very careful not to answer this question the way you expect. So I think, especially if the team, right, especially if it's like a startup or it's like a 0 to 1 idea, I would say focus more on the responsibility than just the role. Because role now is talking about title. So I don't want to say, okay, we don't have a product manager. We are not complete. So we are not going to build products. No, right? So it's more like, okay, what do we need to do? What are the what boxes do we need to, tick in order to build and launch a product? Anybody, remember, ultimately it's about the product, right? What do we need right now? Do we have the resources to get this person to get it done? No. Okay, do we have someone within us that can get it done? I remember when I was working as a developer, at some point I started designing UIs. Like, we didn't have a designer, but in that moment, right, I took on that responsibility, right? So one thing you need to understand that, back to the whole factors, right? Team size, resources. If you don't have the resources, right, to have everybody, right, on the product team, to have like an ideal product team, that should not limit you or restrict you or restrain you, right? So focus more on responsibilities, right, than just the role. Not that the roles are not important, but depending on the situation. The goal of this presentation today is to help you understand how what you do fits into the grand scheme of things, right? So I don't know if that helped address that a bit, but yeah, I just really wanted to answer that question. But if it didn't
All
help, let
right.
me know.
Okay. Thank you for that. I think we have actually tackled all the plenty questions here so far. And
Okay.
before I summarize, this is particularly to the cohort 1 students. We have incubation program, and from this incubation program, everything is prepared. We are going to be sending out emails to those people that actually um, merit it, because it's actually by merit. And this is also to inspire the cohort 2 students that you have to do very well, because everything counts, right? Everything counts for these people that actually is going to the next level phase of this program. So many persons, you said many are called, but few are chosen. So these are the little few that are being chosen to the next level. Then inside that next level, the little few will be chosen again till we get the right people that will actually benefit from the program. So every step on this program counts. So if you are the lucky few for the cohort 1 students that take the program to the next level, or that are being admitted to the next level, take it very serious. Because one of the issues why we bring all this topic is that one of the issues that the product team have so much is the collaboration, communication, right? It's You will see people working in a team. Some persons are unreachable, some persons are not doing their tasks, and all of that. Those things will be checked on the next phase, which is the 200 student incubation. So those are the things we want to look and see that some other students again that are not you are very good with working, or you are very good with the skill, but now we want to check your working experience as well, because we want to make sure we exhaust every possibility before we choose whoever or the student that will actually benefit from this program. So for cohort 1, expect that email. And also for cohort 1, your graduation is on Sunday. It will be posted. Emails will be sent out to every student for cohort 1. Your graduation is on Sunday, right? And it's on Sunday by 5 p.m. So be prepared. The representative from the banks will be part of the graduation. So be prepared. So many things. Will announce the best students that day, then give you all the information you need to know, right? So be prepared. It will be announced on our various channels and platforms as well. Then for cohort 2, this is just to encourage you that the program does not just stop with the technical training, right? Variety Friday is like a plus. Variety Friday has a grade for this program. So we just the way we take attendance, we also take attendance in Variety Friday. right, on for cohort 2 students. So it's part of your grading. So if you are that type that said you are only part of the training, you just want to come and learn and go, you don't care about every other extracurricular activities like the Variety Friday, is for soft skill development. That's why we include this as part of the program. So if you're that type, just know that you are missing a percentage of your total grade. So what we do, all these things will be, you get all this information, your grading, your project score is 50%, right? Project is 50%, your assignment is 30%, your attendance for classes, live classes, is 10%, then your Variety Friday attendance is 10%. That amounts to 100%. So if you miss Variety Friday, automatically you have missed 10% without any struggle. That is just a free will missing, right? So if you miss classes, you're missing your score as well. So ensure that you take this program serious. Maybe until you get to find out that some students have already been employed, or some students are already part of the maybe CareerEX team, or one thing or the other, then you now know that we're actually serious with this whole thing. So for cohort 2 students, this is a tip for you, that you need to put in your best, put in your very best, because you don't know what will come out of this program. There is a lot that you'll be missing if you don't put your very best. So it's just an encouragement that we need to do the very best. Yeah, for cohort 1, graduation is loading actually on Sunday, right? Thank you so much, guys. Thank you once more, Miracle. This is actually an honor for you to be a part of our Variety Friday and part of the Youth Thrive program, right? We really appreciate your time. Time is money, and it's actually a precious commodity. And we thank you for giving us this 1 hour, 30 minutes of your time to be a part of our program. Really appreciate you, and trust me, our students will appreciate your time as well. Thank you so much. You have a final word for our students?
Final word. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. Again, like I said at the beginning, this one privilege I do not take for granted. Feel free to reach out if you have further questions. But till we see again, signing out.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah. So yeah, guys, cohort 1, expect your graduation and come in with all your questions and all of that, and prepare yourself also. Thank you. Have a wonderful night rest. See you again. This video will be uploaded on YouTube, and I hope to get the slide. I'm sure that we'll get that slide so that we can share it with the community, so everybody can have it as well. Thank you once more. Have a wonderful night rest. Good night.